motion there to approve the agenda as presented. Just wanted to, let's see, yes, one thing we'll need to, and it's correct date-wise, but item K in new business, where it says approve the treasury contract, it says 4 years, it's actually 5. The August 1, 26 to July 31, 31 is 5, and we kind of agreed on this one, so that we didn't make adjusted, we can amend it or whatever. But anyways, other than that, is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented? Susan seconds. Any discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. Pinkstock?
Yes.
Mrs. Young?
Yes.
Dr. Buckley?
Yes.
Mrs. Song?
Yes.
Mr. Sharp?
Yes. Then communication. Recognition.
Okay, so thank you. I would like to welcome everyone to our Board of Education meeting. We have some students we want to honor tonight. Very big success. They received a perfect score on their state assessment last spring. So it's really cool whenever you get 0 wrong on a state assessment. That's an accomplishment that not many students across the entire state are able to say. So we're going to start off, because halftime's almost over, right? William Hollinsworth, if you'll come on up. William and Mr. Sharp. William received a perfect score on the government state assessment last year. So congratulations, William.
Woo! Yeah.
His government teacher is here. Want to say anything?
Will, this is all Will. He's an amazing student. He's very interested in government and what that means, and I'm not surprised at all.
Awesome. So congratulations, Will. Thank you. Good luck in the rest of your game. Next, we have another student, Brantley Bridal Cheese. You come on up. Oh, did I miss it? Oh, so close. Vital practice. Vital cheese. I practiced it. All right. So Brantley, he scored a perfect score on his math state assessment last spring. So congratulations, Brantley. There we go.
Thank you.
Can you tell us what you like about math?
I like algebra and stuff.
I was a math teacher, so, you know, I like hearing that. That's a good thing. So, congratulations. Look forward to more relations. Next, we have 3 fourth graders this year, and they earn a perfect score on their 3rd grade math. So I don't know about this math, but pretty good stuff coming out of the math. Willa Harris, if you would come up. Willa, just stay right there.
Woo! Yeah.
And Luke Lamp. Congratulations, Luke. And Caleb Song. Congratulations, Caleb. All right, so let's grab a picture and then we'll talk about you. How's that sound? All right, so perfect score in the 3rd grade. First time you took the state assessment, 3rd grade math assessment, and you knocked it out of the park. Tell me how to do it.
I don't know.
Tell me about that. What do you like about that?
Big brain.
Is it fun? Huh? You like what? Division? Long division. You don't hear that very often. I like to do long division. Awesome. Yeah. What about you? What do you like about math?
I like multiplication.
Nice. Good. You just like it all. Awesome. All right. Well, again, congratulations. Congratulations to everyone I appreciate your hard work, and that's awesome to see. I can't wait to see what your scores are this year and what you can do in math this year. Before you leave, don't forget to get a cookie or a cupcake or some lunch. Okay?
Right.
All right, congratulations. Please don't forget to grab some things on the way out. You're welcome to stay. Hey, thank you.
So everybody move up.
Just like church, you know, front row.
Everyone's sitting in the back.
There's about they don't have a table.
Need little PB trays for that.
Oh, participation, the only thing is, FFA.
All right, hello. My name is Greta Holster, and I'm currently serving as Sentinel of the Amanda-Clearcreek FFA chapter. Things have been moving quickly in our FFA chapter as everyone gets settled into the new school year. We have started up CDE practices for contests such as job interview, forestry, and national public speaking, along with last year's agricultural issues forum team consisting of Bella Metz, Grace Martin, Reese Mullen, Maddie Matheny, and Alana Benjamin, spent months over the late summer and early fall preparing for the Big E regional contest. As a result of placing second in the state of Ohio last year for the CDE, they earned the honor to compete at the Big E. They won the regional competition in Boston, Massachusetts out of 18 states. We want to congratulate these members for upholding our FFA chapter and school tradition of excellence. Additionally, the ACFFA chapter had its monthly ag breakfast at Waffle House on Friday, September 5th. We had a packed house and were pleased with the number of students who came out for ag breakfast. We are excited to continue this activity in the future. Coming up, we have committee meetings with all of our members to discuss ways to improve chapter activities and involvement. Additionally, we will have our monthly FFA meeting on Tuesday, September 23rd. We also have our annual hog roast on September 30th. In October, we will stay busy as we have students submitting projects to be graded at the Fairfield County Fair. These projects include concrete stepping stones, electrical circuits, welding joints, agricultural communication wires, and more. Moreover, the State Aquarium Management and State Animal Management online exams will be Monday, October 20th. The county job interview contest will be Tuesday, October 21st. As we approach CDE season, the ACFFA chapter would like to thank the Board of Education for their continuous support. We are very excited to see what this year has in store for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Greta. Excited to see the Ag Issues team win the East. That's always good. Put a banner to hang up in the hallway. We got to start gluing them to the ceiling or something. New hallway, yeah. All right, so no student liaison tonight then?
Yes.
Yes?
Hey.
Oh, okay.
My name's Hayden Dunn. I'm a senior here and I'm the student liaison. In the primary, they are for academic instruction. They're implementing Strive, Support, Teach, Reteach, Intervene, Verify, and Push for all students that has the goal to meet students where they are to help them grow. High school mentors have been engaging well with students. The wit and wisdom curriculum is being taught for the second year. Second grade gifted testing will be given out at the end of the month. In elementary, all beginning of the year assessments are finished. Fifth grade gifted testing will be happening soon. The Lieutenant Governor Jim Tressel has a new statewide fitness challenge for students in grades 4 through 8. This challenge strives to help students from healthy habits and physical activity, sleep, and nutrition through an individual goal setting. Middle school implementing ACEs Way cards as motivation for students to maintain A's and B's alongside good attendance and behavior. The first incentive trip is planned for October 30th in Pigeon Roost Farm. For the high school, the PSAT is coming up on October 15th. For extracurriculars and athletics, we have reached the halfway point of all the fall sports seasons. For the varsity football team is currently 1-3 and hope to improve their record as they take on Circleville. The JV football team is 2-1 and also play Circleville this weekend. The varsity boys have had a successful season of going 4-4-2. They're playing tonight against River Valley, and the JV boys is 1-7. The varsity girls team is currently 5-4, playing Bishop Rosecrans, and the JV girls are 2-3-1 and play Bexley on Saturday. The varsity volleyball team, it has a record of 5-10, and the JV team going 3-12. Our cross country team is also staying busy with their meet this upcoming Saturday at Westfall, and the golf team has a match tonight against at Denison, and we want to wish the best of luck to all the athletes. For clubs, music, the marching band is staying busy with football season right now. Last week at the first home game of the season, the band had middle school and alumni night, where the 7th and 8th grade band members and graduate band members performed with the high school band. Along with that, they will be performing during the homecoming court presentation on September 26th. The choir is also in a preparation phase as they are learning music for the first concert in October. Drama club signups are currently happening in this Friday. At the end of the month, everyone who signed up will meet with Miss Williams, who is the director of Drama Club, to do read-throughs of plays and choose one for the upcoming spring. National Honor Society has community service childcare underway. High school students with watch teachers, kids in the morning before school, and make sure they get to the bus safely. Along with that, the NHS introductions are being posted on Instagram to show the members' involvement. Ms. Parker and the members are also working to plan a trip for the next summer. Student Council is very busy right now as they prepare for the upcoming homecoming dance. They are organizing music, decorations, themes, and much more. Community participations. Our students have kept busy with activities outside of school. Emma Strickler, who is currently serving as the Miss Pumpkin Show Circleville Pumpkin Show first attendant, has attended the Wellston Ohelco Festival and the Lexington Blueberry Festival since last board meeting. Ariana Winecoop, also a senior, competed in the Millersport Sweet Corn Festival Queens Contest. She was a beautiful representation of our school and community. Additionally, the student body recently voted on 2 Amanda representatives for the upcoming Circleville Pumpkin Show contest, and they are McKenna Singleton and Kalila Jarrell. Also, along with the Pumpkin Show talk, several students enrolled in art classes in the high school submitted pieces of artwork for the Pumpkin Show. 6 out of the 9 were placed, and congratulations to these students. The high school marching band will also be performing at the Fairfield County Fair and the Parade of Bands on October 9th and at the Circleville Pumpkin Show on October 16th. Next Wednesday, September 24th, AC students will be given the opportunity to attend the College and Career Fair in Fairfield County. Students will be able to talk to numerous different colleges and explore their interests. The elementary and middle school is continuing implementing the ACEs Way along with good attendance. They are able to keep the respect level and behavior to a minimum. The culture amongst the students is continuing to mature. Between the classroom and the high school mentors, they are able to put their focus into their classwork, leading to success. In the high school, there are a lot of activities going on at this time. This past week at the high school has just ended Hope Week, held by the Hope Squad, which is a student-led organization promoting mental health to our students. The students have been busy with athletics and extracurriculars now in high gear. We would also like to thank all of the school sponsors and local businesses for your continued support and to make every possible opportunity for me and my peers. Thank you.
Thank you. You look way too mature. I thought you were like a young dad or something. That's fine. Like, we know a student liaison, right? I've only ever seen you with football, no, I'm kicking. I wasn't sure what you were doing. All right, thank you. Next is curriculum council report.
It was a lot of fun. We had a lot of the students from grades actually gave presentations about the lessons and the curriculum, things that they were learning, the foundations, the wit and wisdom, and the bridges programs. So the students themselves actually did a presentation with how they sounded out letters and broke down words and their math and that sort of thing. So it was really cute. And then there were some updates about the STEM project and the gifted project. And it was more cutesy tonight, and it kind of gave an insight to what the students are actually doing in the classroom, how they're learning the processes that they're using.
This year, we transitioned our SEL program to STEM for that teacher. So we're using Project Lead the Way. The curriculum pieces are tied back to the standards, the science standards for each grade level. Our goal is to get at least 2, possibly 3 units throughout the year through that STEM class, and that is K-5. One of the pieces we talked about was the gifted identification. The state updated the one of the measures, the assessment you can use for gifted identification, and that's a STAR assessment, which all of our students 1 through 10 in math and 2 through 10 for ELA use. So it gives us another opportunity to, given the policy update that's on for first read tonight, that would give our more opportunities to identify students as gifted within one of those content areas. Great representation from students.
Yes, it was, they did.
All right, student achievement.
That's me too. I emailed you guys. There wasn't a whole lot. It was kind of interesting that one of the career centers in Columbus is partnering with Habitat for Humanity and going to be building a house in Columbus area. So that was kind of cool. And then they're still doing some like post-pandemic stuff and still showing that the students are still testing lower and trying to recover from
Thank you. Legislative?
There haven't been any of these. I haven't seen anything from any.
Yeah.
Nothing's happening
Dr. Edwards and I do have a meeting with Senator Schaefer next Tuesday at the State House. Yes, so we're gonna talk about property taxes and then some other school issues. We wanted to talk to him before they went back in session, and he said, when are they going back in?
It's the first full week of October.
Do you think there'll be any movement on property taxes this session or what is that?
I think something will happen.
The one item that the House moved on to override the veto, we've been told we think the Senate will also do that.
Okay.
But since they're not even coming back to October, I don't know if the governor will expedite something coming out of his work group. I have not had a chance, OEPI, I can make that available for you too, released a study, which is Mr. Fleer, with me, who provides a lot of the data for our cover guy because he's a data guy.
I think we actually got something in an email.
From OSBA, yeah, that's a pretty important report.
OEPI report.
Yeah.
For property taxes. How did we get here? Is the email we got today.
Yeah, I'm sure that's something that he wanted to get done this year with that work group because they look to him a lot of times for analysis. Property tax obviously is such a complicated issue in Ohio that it takes a lot to even understand it, let alone affect real change.
There are 2 superintendents on that committee, the governor's committee. Dr. Stephanie Starcher is superintendent at Fort Fry, which is a smaller rural school district, and then the superintendent at Dublin City is also one.
Well, I'll just throw out a real quick on the legislative front. I attended the consortium of State School Board Association COSBA conference in DC last week, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And I think that's the second year I've done it. But it was good. We went and met with Mike Terry, one of his staff members, on Tuesday. Same guy as last year. Last year he was new and just sat there and we talked for like a half hour. It almost seemed like we could have kept talking. We were very receptive listening. But after a year, he'd clearly been calloused by DC and he was like, what can we do for you? Good, good, okay, well, great, we'll see you. It was like, it was a very, same guy, very different reception, but he listened. And mainly he was talking about funding issues and things along those lines. So but all you can do is meet with him, say what you want to say. So it was a good trip in general.
Did they share anything about the federal programs or anything, like any insight of further cuts?
Not really. I mean, the couple estimate things they showed for the federal funding for special ed stuff, that's the mandated stuff. There was either a flat or even a slightly reduced. Of course, we always go and say you should fund it to what you initially said you would fund it, which would be 40%. When in reality, it's never been even close to that. We get 10 to 12, 10 to 14%, depending on who you listen to. Federal actually funds for a lot of that mandated programming. And so, of course, we always say you should do full funding, realizing that'll never happen. Hopefully they'll maybe bump up where they're at. But the projections that were released out there didn't show any increased funding. At best, it looked flat. So, which as things keep getting more expensive, that means it's an even less and less percentage of what the cost is if it stays flat. So, but other than that, the primary message, unfortunately, was the same as most any other federal legislative stuff here right now, where the sides are so far apart that getting anything accomplished is not easy. So, and it's kind of the same thing here with Farm Bill. Will we get anything passed by the end of September? Probably not. There'll probably be some sort of continuation. Kick it down the road. Who knows? But like I said, it's always good to go out and talk to people and meet some people and at least lay out what you would hope to happen in terms of funding for public education with your federal folks, and maybe some of it sticks. But if you don't say anything, it definitely won't. So, yeah.
It's always frustrating them as we lobby basically this budget season. It became very evident that they wanted to hear from school board members and the elected officials. Like, even though you guys don't work in this every day, that voice is powerful. So we appreciate you going to Washington and sharing, because it's important. And it does, they all said that it matters when they hear it. They might not understand every issue to the nth degree, but hearing from real people telling real stories will always have an impact. So.
Yeah. All right, on to building principles. Who wants to go first?
I think we're starting at the bottom, working our way up, right, preschool? All right, preschool, that's all right, we can do it. Quick and simple, we're currently serving 71 preschool students, 53 all-day students, 18 half-day students. We have 10 kiddos in the morning, 8 kiddos in the PM class. Our kiddos took their first walking field trip to the dentist yesterday. They all came back happy, healthy, and in one piece, and it was a great trip. And, it took a little bit of time, because then I love that our teachers really worked hard to prime those kids on expectations, how we walk, how we stay with each other, what to expect at the dentist. So they shared some social stories and did some different lessons to prepare them for that. So the kiddos engaged in that beautifully. And then our students are also engaging in talking about, the nutrition, take care of yourself, and family style dining. So the first semester, we're offering the kiddos, with our big focus is communication. So we're trying to teach that facilitated piece, to facilitate those environment for them to have that opportunity. How do we sit and attend? How do we have those dinner conversations? Because a lot of our kids sometimes don't have access to that. So the teachers are really focusing on that, and they'll have we'll do like a fishbowl to pull out a topic to talk about with the kiddos, like, what's your, favorite place to go and on an hour drive, quick drive or something. And so the kiddos are really engaging with that piece and bringing in the communication. So, yeah, doing well in preschool.
Is our preschool enrollment up, down from last year, staying? I know
We,
at the last meeting, we were still kind of,
we're still wish-wash because I feel like,
you said 71, is that right?
we have 71 kiddos, so yeah, and so
What did
that.
we have last year?
I believe we're up from last year, and I think our cap is 80, if I'm correct. So we're sitting in a pretty good spot, knowing that we will have others trickle in
So
throughout
we
the
were
year.
able to accommodate everybody who wanted to go to preschool?
Yes.
There's not a waitlist this year.
No waitlist this year?
One change for this year was the addition of that half-day option. The feedback that I received from Principal Fraley and Mrs. Pinkstock last year was that there were some parents who were not sending their children for the whole day preschool, and then we're kind of holding them back and then sending them all day every day for kindergarten. So opening up that opportunity as an option, that half-day option in one classroom, those rooms are a little smaller, but based upon some of the needs, that's a good thing.
Thank you.
All right, so at the primary, we've gathered our beginning of the year Acadians data, and we're looking towards making REMs for students. Looks like at the kindergarten level, we're gonna have 43% of our students on reading improvement plans. First grade, it's 26%. One really cool thing to watch, that first grade class, they are our first kindergarten group that left last year at that 80-20 mark that we're always shooting for. So looking at kind of that summer slide, looking at just 6%, like 26 on reps, that's pretty awesome to see. Second grade, we have 32% of our kids on rep. So we're really looking towards our strive time to giving kids what they need during that tier 2 time to support them. And ultimately, the goal is to get them off REMS and getting them on grade level. Attendance-wise, kindergarten, 99% for August, good for them. 96 for first and second grade. As a building, we typically hover right there at that 96%, so we're doing a great job there. PBIS update, lots and lots of orange tickets are going out, kids are celebrating that. So far, we've given out about 123 ACES Way cards. And just a reminder, we have bingo boards that they scratch off for their ACES Way cards, and they get lots of exciting things, whether it's cookies with the custodian, surprise with the secretary, Pac-Man with the principal, assistant principal, lasso walks, and other custom classroom incentives. So it just really gives them something to work for and look forward to. Gifted testing for second graders start next Friday. We're excited to identify and then service those second graders this year. It's something we sat down as a team, admin with SST11, looking at ways that we can enhance our report card, and that's one way we can do that is by identifying and then servicing our second grade students. So we're excited to do that. And, our gap closing for the primary is a 4-star now, but that could possibly push up to a 5-star. So that's exciting. Last but not least, today we had something new and kind of exciting for pre-K through second grade students. We participated in something called Operation Lifesaver. It's through the railroad and train safety. So they came in and they just discussed train and railroad safety with our students. And boy, were they engaged. And they loved their pencils and their little erasers they got. But the gentleman that came down, the one guy, he drove 3 hours. But they go all over the state of Ohio and do these presentations about railroad and train safety. So the kids loved it. They were enthralled from the video to everything they did. So just filling our students' backpacks with all kinds of knowledge. Now on to the elementary.
All right, so the elementary focus, obviously we're starting state testing with third grade soon. That will be in October. So we will be having our third grade reading OSD the 22nd and 23rd of October. The first 9 weeks report cards will be going out October 16th. So that's coming up sooner than what we're prepared for, I think. Attendance goal, we are striving for at least 95%. As we get older, we're trying to combat a lot of that, not wanting to come to school. But so far in September, our average has been 97% across the board. So we've put a few incentives in place, and we're just trying to really push that every single day just allowing them to come and just do something a little extra, just to get their attendance up. So we are happy with 97% in each grade level is the average. The fifth grade gifted screenings will be September 29th and through October 1st. And I am happy to announce the STAR data that really coincides the scale score with the Ohio State test. Our third grade students, OST, data indicates that 50% of our third grade students, 45% of fourth grade, and 48% of fifth grade are at or above proficiency in reading and math. So to be at the beginning part of the year and to test as early as we did, I think that's a pretty good starting point. We will be having a third grade state testing parent meeting. That will be September 30th from 4:15 to 5:15. And that will be in the cafetorium. We will be discussing the state testing blueprints, a test effort rubric that we will be providing the students, wanting them to meet, what the test taking expectations are, and any parent strategies for some at-home help, and then also some individual student data review. So what we really want to do with our parents is to get them involved in this testing process and for it to become exciting and not looking down on it or, testing's awful and it just stresses our kids out. And we don't want that. We don't want the kids to be stressed out. We want it to be an exciting experience, and hopefully we're going to be doing some awesome things with getting our older students involved and pep assembly kind of thing before they test and see how that goes this fall.
Show what you know.
Show what you know.
Oh, up in my direction, there are right now 440 high school students in grades 9 through 12. Each week we're putting out a focus. Our focus is, again, the top three things: attendance, behavior, and grades. We're looking at those three things across all grade levels. And each week I put out This Week at the Creek, which is our recap of this is the week's events, and also recaps the attendance, the grades, and the behavior cumulative from day one up until this point right now. And when you look at it, we're shooting for 90% attendance rate that's the floor for us. That's what we're shooting for. If you have good grades, good attendance, and good behavior, then you stay off of social probation. Social probation will eliminate you from field trips and other active fun things. So we're trying to keep there. And there's an example of what that kind of looks like. That Dr. Evers put up goes out to the students. It's displayed on the TV screens in the building so the kids can see kind of where they are. When you look at it by the numbers, the senior class is doing the best as far as attendance is concerned at the moment. They are all showing up. They know that showing up matters, so they're here. When we come down to who's doing not quite as well, the sophomore class that 10th grade class is having a harder time getting here. And that kind of holds true through the behavior and through the academics. So when you look at the numbers and you start comparing, seniors are doing pretty well across the board. Attendance, behavior, grades, they're doing well. Freshmen are doing really well across most areas. Our 10th grade group is having some struggles in all areas, whether that's attendance, that's behavior, and that's their academics too, in all four major academic areas. So that's something that's coming up in our teacher-based teams. And so those grade level teams meet again next week on Tuesday, where they'll be looking more at the information. We've got 5 weeks worth of data to look at and kind of determine, okay, why are we seeing such a high number of sophomores with difficulties in all these areas? So that's coming up next week. And that's utilizing our new MTSS process, our new handbook with the meeting protocol, data analysis. That's all being used to do that. Our foundations classes are new this year and they're in place in ELA. Reading and math, those are backfilling gaps that have been identified through teacher recommendation, STAR assessments. And we've kind of leveled those. There's a basic reading one where students, we identify with gaps in reading, and that's foundational skills in reading. That's phonics. So but when we get down to high school kids, you say, how can you have 9th and 10th grade with phonics gaps? And we do. And that class is in place to address that. Shannon Osborne is doing a fantastic job with that. She's doing that, so it's addressing the need without it being making high school kids feel like they're in 2nd or 3rd grade. So she's doing a great job with that. Same thing with ELA, which is the next step up, which is vocabulary acquisition, those kind of things, decoding, kind of a little higher level pieces. Math is the same thing. We've got a couple levels of math, trying to backfill some of those missing gaps. PBIS update next week. If you're interested and you're free during lunchtime, we'll be doing the ACES Open Lunchtime Ping Pong Extravaganza.
What time is that?
It starts at 11:30 sharp. And so if you're not on social probation and you signed up, then you're able to like ping pong tournament at lunch. We're doing grade levels. And then we'll have the top 2 players from each grade level hit each other, and then faculty, a couple of faculty members. Jeff Tilley was excited to know that he could join, so we'll have that one. Mr. Isles classes. Scott Isles is bringing back some video production as part of our IT classes. He's bringing back some of the Aces Way videos. We've got kids doing that. They'll be working on some things for our scoreboard as well. So when we get things at halftime and throughout the games, those should be popping up out in the football field. And finally, we're working on, like we mentioned, expanding and improving our Prepared for Success measure on our report card. And some of that's coming through work-based learning placements, such as working with the IT department and getting industry recognized credentials. So that's a quick recap. Real quick on the student liaison, since we brought it up, I kind of took a different approach with the student liaison this year. Typically, since I've been here, it looks like they have been reporting mostly on high school happenings. We took a different approach. There are 3 students that are filling that gap, or that role, sorry. And they each have a different focus. So they're kind of focusing on a different aspect of student life from different grade levels, whether it's academics, student life, and then other academic outside activities. So those are, you'll see each one has a schedule and they'll be reporting out on a rotating basis. So you'll see a different one each month. Questions?
Mrs. Davis or Mr. Hanning, anything?
So,
All right, thank you all. Get the years off and running early. Here we go, we'll be talking about the end of the year. All right, superintendent report. Superintendent report.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about the report cards were just released by the state this week on Monday, I think it was. So we've been reviewing kind of preliminary data as that's been refined throughout the summer, but wanted to go over some highlights from that. First of all, from a district perspective, the overall, we were at 3 stars for the overall rating, and we'll go into each one of the components. Dr. Buckley, if you can you cut one of the lights, that might help.
Yeah.
There we go. So overall, this is kind of the historical progression of the district overall ratings, and then each individual school rating, so ACP, ACE, the middle school and the high school. Just a quick refresh, a couple things that changed this year. First of all, it's still a 5-star system. Whenever you're looking at kind of in the middle, you have 3.5 stars. Those are the two that in the description says meet state standards. 4 was where you're going to exceeds 2.5 means additional support. The components were a little different this year with the percentage that each component went towards your overall goal. They added in, like I talked earlier, they added in the college, career workforce, and military readiness component. That is 12.5% of the overall calculation. There are probably 75 to 100 pages of paper that explains how you calculate everything with the report card. So I'm going to try to kind of condense it down a little bit. So looking at achievement. Achievement is basically saying to what level are our students performing on their state test. So we received 3 stars in achievement. If you look here, on the left is performance index trends. Performance index is just saying, did they score limited, basic, proficient, accelerated, advanced? Each one of the different colors represents, it's the blue, dark blues at the bottom is limited. Then as you go up, it is basic, proficient, accelerated, advanced. So overall, we want, you can see that we are on an upswing. So 81.4 was what our performance index overall score was. The 74.1 above it, that means what they do is they take the highest performance indexes in the state, and then they say, well, how did you perform as compared to the highest performance index in the state? So that in itself is a moving target too, that based upon how each school in the state performs. To the right, we're gonna look at that, proficiency trends. So if you look at the bottom again, limited and basic, over at 2021, the limited and basic of all the tests that we took in 2021, that was nearly 50% was falling in that category. So you take the top 3 components, which is proficient, accelerated, advanced, and then advanced plus. Advanced plus is where you have a student who is grade accelerated through a gifted program. If it's an 8th grader taking Algebra 1 or a 7th grader taking Algebra 1 or something like that, then if they earn a certain score and they're accelerated, then they get advanced plus. The number of students or the percentage of students that's falling in that upper 3 to 4 levels is increasing, and then you can kind of see the bottom 2 together is kind of working its way down. Achievement, this is an area where we need to continue to grow on. We need to continue to work on. This is not where we need to be. We need to continue to focus on how well our students are performing on those state assessments.
When they look at achievement, are they taking in all students in that, or are there students who are exempt from those numbers?
All students.
All students, okay.
Yes.
So we really haven't gained.
All those numbers, all those columns look the same to me. I mean,
Yeah, we're pretty flat.
yeah, I mean, across the board, it's like, okay, I don't see much movement.
So that's where I'm saying we still have room to grow there. On progress is the growth that students are seeing. So whenever they come in, you want a student to at least grow, and there's a large mathematical calculation. You want them at least to grow 1 year's worth of growth in a year. So this is a good representation across the board of where we are with that progress. The dark slate colored blue, that is students made more progress than expected, and there's significant evidence to say that they made more progress than expected. So if you look 6th grade across the board, English, math, and then all tests, they do not teach test science in 6th grade. The light blue, which you can see is categorized English language arts for all grades. That is students made more progress than expected, and there's moderate evidence to support that. Green is students make progress similar to the statewide expectation, and there's evidence to support that. So the dark slate blue, the light blue, and the green are all showing that the growth. So from 1 year to the next, students are growing. In 3 through 8, they look at basically how did you perform in, let's say 4th grade math, then how did you perform in 5th grade math, and then did you, like if you were at 700 on 4th grade, and then you score 700 in 5th grade, then you would be green. You would be on that same trajectory, and 700 is proficient. If you go from 700 in 4th grade to, let's say, 715 in 5th grade, then that would be more growth, because you can pretty much look at those year to year. There's a different mathematical calculation that goes along with high school, because they look at all of your subjects together and then what the trajectory is. So, go ahead.
Just the grades, is that their current grade or is that last year?
Last year's grades.
So that's, okay.
So that would have been this year's 7th graders, last year's 6th graders.
Okay, thank you.
You look at the yellow. Yellow is an area students made less progress than expected, and there's a moderate amount of evidence to support that. Red, students made less progress than expected, and significant evidence to support that. Gap closing. Gap closing received 3 stars, and it is looking at how you perform in various levels based upon pulling academic achievement and progress together. So these are all the components that they measure gap closing on. So there's the top 2 columns are English and math achievement. So we received 2 points out of 5 points on each one of English and math achievement. Go down to the next 2, that's English and math growth. For English, we received 4 out of 4 points on, and that's based on the different subgroups of students, 4 out of 4 points, and then math was 3 out of 4 points. Graduation, that was 0 out of 4 points, and I'll get into graduation, why that was kind of an anomaly, and we'll talk about that. You see English language learners is 0 out of 0, because we don't have that population to talk about. Chronic absenteeism, we received 0 out of 5 points on chronic absenteeism, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. You see there's an entire section for gifted performance indicators, so the gifted progress. We received 5 out of 5 points on gifted progress. Gifted performance index, they're saying, did students score at high enough, enough of gifted students score at advanced, accelerated and advanced? So we did not meet that. We have progress, but not the index. And then the last one is the gifted identification and services, which is where we talked about earlier. Are you identifying what they say is the correct amount of students that would be identified as gifted, and then how are you serving them? So that's where I talked about the gifted policy is giving us some more, the first read on that is giving us some more options to be able to service those. Identify and service.
What was our gap closing last year?
Let me get,
I'm interested in the data. Are we making progress? Are we staying stagnant? I mean, some of the scores are kind of bad.
let me see if I can find that historical. Where were we with gap closing, you said last year? 3 last year, yeah.
So we were at 4 in 21, 22, and then we dropped to 3s. Okay. That doesn't give the breakdown, right, does it?
Is that the
just
percentage? Because that other percentage this year was 38.1, I think.
38.1, yeah.
I can't read that. Does-
They're all 38s.
Okay,
And we went from 37 to then 38.5, 38.1, 38.1.
So, let me see here. So this 38.1 here is the percentage of points. So we have the total number of points that we earn and then the total points possible. So two places that were kind of anomalies for us this year. One, graduation. It's kind of an all or nothing. So we received 0 where we have and should have received 4 points there. And chronic absenteeism, we received 0 points and we should have received 5 points. So at least the chronic absenteeism, I'll talk about in a minute, graduation too, we'll go into a little more depth. Gap closing, here's where we're at. So gap closing as far as achievement. So here's where I said earlier, we're still not, the yellow dots indicate where we should be, where our goal for achievement is. And then the bars show how we performed within each one of those subgroups. So the black line is all students. The darker blue is, or the brighter blue, I say, is multiracial. Red line is white, non-Hispanic. The yellow line is economically disadvantaged. And then the lighter blue is students with disabilities. Now, again, this is on achievement, how we're achieving. This is our growth. So the line is the expected growth. So on the left, English language arts growth in our students. The black is all students, red is white students. The yellow line is economically disadvantaged, and blue is students with disabilities. And then the math growth is the same. Black is all students, red is white, non-Hispanic, yellow is economically disadvantaged, and the lighter light blue is students with disabilities. You talked about where we were last year. So our chronic absenteeism rate, remember that was 5 points out of the total number of points. Our chronic absenteeism, the goal that we have that's in state, it's 16 point something %. Or you can receive your 5 points by reducing your the difference by 3%. So if to meet those 5 points in that goal, if our chronic absenteeism rate was at 22.31%, meaning 22.31% of our students missed less than 10% for any reason, excused or unexcused absence, for last school year, less than 10% of the school year. We had 61 students that were between 10% and 11% of the school year. They missed between 10 and 11% of the school year last year. If 8 of those 61 students missed 2 less days, we would be a 3.5 star district right now. So that's where, that's not the only reason. And I go back and I say, we have room to grow in achievement. Our growth is looking good. We're going to continue to work on growth. But little things, whenever you go back to, you ask where we're at 38.1%.
But would you go back to that, but we're not doing well in the students with disabilities?
For last year, yeah. And I would have to go back and look at the prior year, what the growth looked like for those, the prior year. And that's for growth in math, as compared to the ELA. But yes, that is the one area that we did not meet the expected growth in math. Talk about graduation. So we have a 4-year and a 5-year graduation rate. We were at 2.5 stars or 2 stars this year, which I said that's an anomaly for us. You have a 4-year graduation rate, so that's 60% of the total, and then you have a 5-year graduation rate. Going into that, if you remember, that is from 2 years ago. So the graduating class 2 years ago for the 4-year graduating class. In that class, whenever we dove into the data, we looked at a couple things were happening. One, we had students that we actively tried to chase to come back. Hey, finish, let's see what you can do, let's help you find a way. Either they just wouldn't return or like get back with us. They moved out of state. Once they turned 18, they just moved out of state. The other component to that is any student who may have a plan that they finish 12th grade, but they have the opportunity to continue their education past 12th grade. Those students do not count as a graduate for us. And that particular year, we had some of those as well. We ran into some students that they would enroll in another school district, and we would get a records request. We were thinking that they're enrolling in another school district, and then they never actually show up to start classes. So we think that they've enrolled there, and then they don't end up going. So we're trying to work on getting that identification early and getting some things in place to make sure that isn't happening. We already know what our graduation rate will be for our four-year graduation rate for next year's report card. And I believe it was 97% is where we're at for next year's four-year report card. We were at 2 stars. To get 3 stars, you have to be at least 90%. So we were 0.6 of a point away from 3 stars on graduation. And historically, graduation has been an area that we've been able to perform in. Early literacy, 2 stars. The components that go into early literacy: improving K-3 literacy, 3rd grade reading proficiency, and promotion to 4th grade. So you can see there's a summative component there of how the data works together, but I wanted to point this out. So this is the early literacy portion. So that is improving K-3 literacy all the way at the bottom. It's 25% component. Now, this is also, I anticipate, is going to be changing for next year, because with 3rd grade reading guarantee, it was how many are promoted to 4th grade based on 3rd grade reading guarantee, and then that was a measure that not everybody made it. Then everybody is able to be promoted to 4th grade, so you can see there it's 100%, because 100% of the students were promoted to 4th grade, not necessarily because they met the 3rd grade reading guarantee, but the options that are in place for promotion to 4th grade. But if we look at this shows some of the growth that's being made. So if you look kindergarten diagnostic to 1st grade diagnostic, so that's saying 2 years ago where they performed in kindergarten and were they on a reading improvement plan, and then in 1st grade when they started the year and they took the assessment, did they come off of a reading improvement plan at that point? So 44.4% of our students who started kindergarten needing a reading improvement plan were able to come off of that plan by the time they entered 1st grade. Again, 1st grade is second, though of the students who started 1st grade 2 years ago, 49.2% were able to come off of that reading improvement plan at the beginning of 2nd grade.
Is that, like on the first one, it's 44.4, is that out of the 55.6% of the students while on the reading improvement program?
It's saying of 100% of students that were on a reading improvement plan in kindergarten, 44.4% no longer needed the reading improvement plan in 1st grade. So that growth that they achieved during the kindergarten year.
So what percentage of our kindergartners needed a improvement program? Do we have a number or percentage?
I don't have that.
Because 44% of them achieved it, but what percentage of that 1st grade class needed
Had it
that?
to begin with.
Yeah.
I don't know that.
Okay. I was just curious.
No, that's a good question. And that's one thing, I just don't have it in front of me.
Like, I'm curious, we've had our own pre-K now, this is 4th year?
Yeah, 5th.
5th year? It's a while, that we took it under our own wing, that we've had it here. Are we seeing those scores better now? That we have control of that pre-K? And where do we see that on our scorecard?
So we are seeing that benefit coming in, and I think that the deficit that students are coming in with, you can see if 44.4% are coming off of that reading improvement plan, in 1 year of intervention, then the deficit isn't as low as what it,
No, I'm just
Maybe
curious as to like, how many, because we should be seeing a decrease in that in kindergarten if they're coming through our preschool program and well, 71 kids, that covers 3, 4, and 5 though, so. Like how many of those kids who are coming into the first grade from our preschool are kindergarten ready and would need an improvement program?
so,
That's what I'm curious about, like
Didn't
how
you,
successful are we
Michelle, didn't
being?
you guys dive into that last year? You took the number of kids in preschool versus not preschool.
yes.
And the covered, so we did.
Yeah, like I don't
Michelle
care about
did
somebody else's preschool, I care about.
No, we looked at our preschool,
Yeah.
and we looked at the students that went through our preschool versus the students that did not go through our
Gotcha,
preschool.
okay.
And I don't remember, but it was like,
It was definitely,
It was a
there was a huge
high
difference
percentage. You
between
could
the
tell.
kids that went through our preschool. Like it was significant, because
So
that was my
over
thing
the
last.
last 4 or 5 years, are we seeing that number better? For these kindergarten kids who needed to have an improvement program, is that decreasing? Because it should be, if our pre-K is doing better, what you say they are, then those numbers should be going down.
so this is another piece that when it goes into that is the assessment that we use to measure whether they're track or not on track. So if you remember, we added Acadians in, so that assessment has only been in place for 2 years now.
Yes, so I remember the first time when I came in, the number that for us to reported tonight, she said 50% of the kids came in at grade level for third grade, and that was a big deal. When I came in here, we were 27%. So that would be those preschoolers getting into third grade. So that kind of made me feel a little bit better, because 27%.
They implemented
is
a
good.
curriculum finally in the K2 that was a national curriculum as well.
And that's
About the same time.
had various components.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we had Hagerty, we added foundations, now we added Liquid Wisdom. So the components of learning to read, now we have all the components covered. And last year was the first part for the Liquid Wisdom piece.
Thank you.
Okay. The last piece is college career workforce, and military readiness. Like Mr. Dennis had mentioned, we're at 1 star there. This is the first year that has been measured. So looking at that, we had 53 out of 102 of those graduating 2024 4-year graduates that earned something that contributed toward the college career workforce military readiness. So
How can that be when they all have to have a pathway to graduation?
So the things that have asterisks are the only things that count toward the asterisks, that count toward the college career workforce military readiness. So like an honors diploma, if they receive that, if they receive an industry credential, and many of our students coming out of the vocational school will leave there because essentially their industry credential is their curriculum for their pathway. Dual enrollment, you can see ACT or SAT, remediation free score, qualifying scores, a 3 or more on the AP exam, military enlistment, apprenticeship, pre-apprenticeship, apprenticeship, that's listed three different times for 18+-year-olds, and then under.
Why don't we have anybody with military enlistment when we have the kids that stand up at graduation?
So that in order to count that, you have to have a certain document that most students don't receive until, like they can say, I plan to go to the military, but until you have like this is when I ship out and this is when I'm doing that, then that doesn't count towards this. You have to have specific documentation. You can't just say like, I plan to go to the military.
But that's not what, I mean, at graduation, when they have the, whatever, the cords or
So-
whatever, that
so
says
they-
I'm going to the Marines or whatever.
So that they're saying, I intend to go, but they haven't actually.
They haven't actually enlisted?
They still have the opportunity to back out. Until you have,
opportunity until you go to boot camp.
So, well, but there's a form, there's a paper that it's essentially the state says until it's at this point, then that's when.
Do we ever ask them, or I mean, is it typical that they don't?
And that's where I don't know the specifics on that. And that's where, I asked Mr. Dennis to work to come up with how we're going to make sure we are capturing all of those components. So that's one piece. looking
Yeah, that's
at-
just one piece, I was just kind of.
So we're doing well on the industry recognized credentials, right?
Mhm.
Because we have all those students who go get a welding credential.
Yeah,
that
that's what I
counts.
was gonna say.
That's what I'm saying, that's one of the bigger ones.
Yeah, that's well.
Yes.
Right. So how are our kids graduating then if they're not meeting some of these requirements? Because they have to have a pathway to graduation.
Not
Really?
necessarily.
I thought they did. I thought they had to meet a certain number of pathways to graduation to graduate.
You have to have a certain number of credits.
No, you also have to have,
Seals, is that what you're?
Seals.
yeah, your
Is
seals,
a
you
way.
call their pathways to graduation. It could be community service.
Oh, yeah.
It could be, there's 5 million of them. We
Right.
talked about different classes we offer here now to get that.
And for example, like if community service seal is one of the seals that you use towards accumulation towards graduation, that's not something that counts in this.
In this.
Yes. So and another thing is like, we have students that go out and they have over the 250 hours of work-based learning. Well, it has to be tied to a specific program, and the course that's aligned to that has to be just tied to a specific program. So that's what it is. Again, it's capturing that. Whenever our kids go out and they represent 250 hours of work within a particular area, then how are we collecting that information from them, and then how are we reporting that to the state? Because they can't like go and say, well, I have 50 hours from this and 40 hours from this and 100 hours from this. They have to say, okay, all the 250 hours are from the ag business pathway, and it's because I'm going out and I'm working in an ag related program. So again, those are the things that we're working this year to make sure that we're reporting correctly and that we're guiding our students. And, okay, if you're going to do work release, essentially, you have to take this course, because this course is what puts you on that pathway that we can count as work-based hours.
That qualifying score on 3 or more AP exams, what counts as a qualifying score?
3 or better.
We didn't have any of them?
This would have been for last
So
Last
graduates that just graduated or the class before that?
24.
just graduated.
Oh, 22, the 25
Just
graduates?
graduated, right?
2025.
It's 25.
Oh, this is just among seniors, not.
Just among seniors, yes.
Because I was gonna say.
So it's just out of those 102 that were in
This
the
is
2024, 24, I'm sorry, it's 2024, because this year's 2026. Last year's 2025.
Oh,
So it's 2024 4-year graduation cohort. So we had 53 out of 102 that qualified for that, that received something to count that.
gotcha, okay.
So, we went into this year thinking I thought we would be at 3.5 stars this year. I think there are 2 things that impact, at minimum 2 things that impact that. Our early literacy, whenever I looked, that was 5 students. So we would have been at 3 stars if 5 students from grades K3 would have come off of a RIP, then we would have been at 3 stars in early literacy as opposed to 2. So
Approximately how many do we have in that
if you take
population?
150 per grade level, so 115 times 4, so
And there were just
over 500.
And how do we compare to like districts around us, like Barn Union, Fairfield Union, Logan Home, like, where do they rate?
They are,
All of us.
They're all above us.
Yeah, it was in Baker today. So
Oh.
Millersport was the lowest performing. We were the
Oh,
second-
really?
Yeah, we were the second lowest performing.
One of the, what do I want to call it? Proponents of public education that are trying to fight the vouchers, put together a, basically a chart connecting, income
Yeah,
to
that-
stars.
It was in cleveland.com today. It was an article about.
Yeah,
how-
City schools, I
It
know
came
they
from
use
Bill.
one.
I think Bill Phyllis, who does the voucher, the thing against vouchers.
Yeah, so you
And I
can't-
thought that was incredibly interesting, how,
You can't overcome household income.
Yeah.
Household income is directly correlated with stars.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're a 5-star, you have the highest household income, and on down to the 1-stars have the lowest average household income. And it literally just steps and steps and steps.
and it's, I thought it was interesting statistically, the amount between the steps is almost identical. There's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
many that are like
it's-
real close.
It's $5,000, $5,000, $5,000.
It's crazy. They use 606 school districts,
They're
I
all
think,
about
to make that. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Which would make sense for us too, because
Is it closer?
even though our
to
median
Boston
income's
number?
higher than
Absolute
state average, we're about right at the state average.
So those kind of statistics tell me that
I'm sorry?
It's a lot closer.
the
to
actual
annual.
grading
Yeah.
is flawed.
Yeah.
It's grading
Union is just,
The way they're,
income
yeah,
rather than,
I would argue.
well, it's things that
one of the more
can't.
economically disadvantaged.
well, and it
some
makes
things
it,
that can't be
because I saw
lost
it,
to.
whatever, for the Franklin County, and it was, the Dublins, the Mexicans, they were all.
I feel like
that makes sense.
It's hidden.
And the city, obviously, was
There's
there
a
too.
I think you
correlation.
because the community.
But there's some things, like,
A lot of things in the community.
so I was trying to explain, I said, that's really funny, because of course I'm always looking at financial stuff, and our median income is
Yeah.
average,
Don't-
and
don't-
three
don't worry
stars
about
is
it.
average, I'm like, we
Yeah,
are
we're
surprising me,
surprised.
for their income. But compared to the income of Fairfield Union, Burn Union, we're low. Our median, and our
just
curious income, so our stars are.
I'm just curious how that-
And I'm like.
But
it's all making sense now.
The article was on
Which is why,
Cleveland.com.
you know,
It was very
the
fascinating. It was a very good
crisis
article.
is
Just-
truly
it just
informed
steps
city
down
schools,
almost,
Cincinnati city
you
schools,
know,
and Cleveland
5,000,
city schools.
5,000, you go
where-
5 to 1
You know, there's
based on household.
there's a lot of, it's, like I said, it's a crisis.
Yeah.
But-
I was like, oh, but they're economic.
Regarding most of
I mean,
it.
I mean,
Sure.
No, it's,
Where
there's
was,
been lots of conversations.
where was that chart that you started to pull up that Robin asked for about the other schools?
Oh, you had it there.
Yeah, it was up and then,
yeah, it's
Let me see, it's not that one.
oh,
I don't know, are these cakes and bakes?
No, we're on budget restriction. State's up paid.
Oh, it goes to my calendar then.
They're Kroger.
Okay, Bill Martin.
The punch is really good though. I mean, I'm not sure.
I can hide this, I think, and that might give a little better.
yeah, can you make it bigger? Make it bigger.
I'm working on it.
There you go.
So Lancaster is that what the LC, Lancaster City, the LC,
Yeah.
so there's.
I'm impressed that the city schools are 3,
Right.
actually 3.5. That's impressive.
This would surprise me the most today, Lancaster.
Why is,
This is,
Twice what?
I thought you said that we were the second highest, and it looked like we were bottom,
No.
or second lowest, but. it
so
looked like-
your overall rating is down here.
I was.
So this,
okay,
the one at the top is just achievement,
Okay.
which is how you perform a test. I think this is interesting, if you compare the overall rating to,
Yeah.
overall rating compared to the chronic absenteeism rate,
This concentrate, right. Yeah.
it is almost 1-to-1.
Yeah.
So, you have
4.5 stars to 2.5 stars. And then you have chronic absenteeism rate. Now, Lancaster's an anomaly, but 30.2 to 11.8%. Actually, it's inverse.
How do these other school districts get their kids to school?
I think ours is actually pretty darn good, like.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a rhetorical question, but how do they get them to, how does Bloom Carroll get 11.8%
As they get older.
absentees?
Yeah.
So one of the things we're looking at is starting, how are we counting absences?
Okay.
So what counts as an absence, what doesn't count as absence, how are we?
Those kids who
If
are
they're-
here that didn't graduate, they must be counting against our absenteeism as well, because they're not here.
Well, yes, so we have students, let's say a student, they don't come for the first 4 weeks of school, and then their parent enrolls them in an online school. We have to take their absences for the first 4 weeks that they weren't here because they didn't enroll in the online school. They had full intentions of not coming the first 4 weeks, but they didn't get enrolled in the online school until week 5. So we have like a student who their absenteeism rate is through the roof. So of the time they were here, they may have an absenteeism rate of 100% because of the time they were here, they missed everything.
They never withdrew from us.
Right. And
Before school
yes.
started.
So anyways, diving a little more deeply into the chronic absenteeism, there is a change in state law that House Bill 410, you probably maybe heard a lot about House Bill 410 and stressing getting doctor's uses and parent notes and things like that. And that's kind of out the window. Those definitions aren't here anymore, and it is strictly chronic absenteeism. So it is, are you at school or are you not at school? And for any reason. And those hours add up. So if you aren't here for all day, those hours, you have a whole day because we submit how many hours our school day is. If you are here half a day, then half those hours count in. So they measure, and the spreadsheet, it shows a student ID, a state ID number. There were this many hours that you should have been in school. There are this many hours that you had absences, and then this is your attendance rate. Any other questions or any other additional information that you would like?
I'd like.
So even if a child comes to school with a doctor's excuse, it's still counted against the scorecard,
Yes,
being absent.
yes. For any reason. Now, if there is
That just
a,
encourages people to come to school when they're sick.
I mean, yeah, we say that all the time.
5 years ago, we were saying,
If
"Don't
they are
come to school."
sick, don't come to school.
and I think the difference is come to school, like, okay, I went to bed late last night and I don't feel like getting up the next morning. That's different
Right, that's
than
completely unexcused.
I'm running a fever
Right.
or something like that. So kind of making that differentiation between I don't feel like going or I don't feel 100% versus I'm sick. So I'm not a medical person, but
So like the FFA trip to.
that does not
Should
count.
be tomorrow.
That is that's a school-related event, and that's coded. So whenever those are in, they're coded specifically as a school-related event.
So like the students that just went to Boston and missed that.
They do not, that does not count.
Okay.
And that on the backside through EMIS, that they sort those things out by the way we're coding them, their absences. So overall, growth, I think there's some good things with growth. I think there's some room for improvement on achievement.
So will the admin team then come together with the results and actually put together a list of goals? Like things we can affect, like attendance. So we're doing attendance incentives for the kids with different things and trying to be like, hey, if you've got that dentist appointment and you have the ability to have it after school or over break, can we, those types of things. That's one thing everybody's doing. Is there something else? I mean, so you and I, because from a financial perspective, for me and accountability to our taxpayers, we've spent millions of dollars on this curriculum. And from that report, we've not grown. I know we've grown. You can, once you dig really deep in it, you can see we're definitely moving in the right direction. But when you break it down to 1 to 5 stars, that's such a, thousands of pages go into 5 stars. That we can, to me, to have something to communicate back to, our stakeholders of, we are here, here's where we want to be, and here's the road we're going on this year to get there. Because there's some things that we can't change. We cannot change year 23 kids that we have. So if a child's on an IEP, that's what he was talking about, they can stay in school till they're 21. That will always count against us. We have more students that this year counted against us. Were there 5? There were 5. And when you only have 100 kids in a class, that's 5% right there. So we at best could have got to 95% automatically. So, that's like stuff we can easily explain out, but spending money and not moving is something that